I'd like to call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Casey Barney? Here. Lee Sharps? Here. Kathleen DeWolf?
Here.
Eli, I did this again.
What'd you gonna call him?
Levi. I just want to call him Eli. You here?
Eli's coming.
I guess so.
Eli Badger. Fran Newton here. I'm sorry, Eli. I did this 2 weeks in a row. Anyway, sorry for the delay, folks. We, had a brief meeting before. Before we get started, I'd like to take some time to express our sincere condolences and sadness for the loss of Kathy Jakewith.
Yes.
Many of you knew her. We will all miss her. She certainly gave her heart and soul to this town, and our deepest sadness to her family.
She was our number one volunteer.
She was our number one volunteer.
Made
She fought a good fight.
beautiful service.
Yes, okay. All right. Do we have any public comments on the agenda? Okay, minutes. We have minutes from December 2nd.
I just had two
Okay.
small ones. Charlie, line 30, it was just a little confusing.
What page?
Page 1, the only one we have.
There's the backside of it.
Page
Oh.
1.
It's 2 pages.
Okay, very funny. There's no line 30 on page 2.
True. Got me.
Oh, this meeting's getting off to a good start.
Line, and it's gonna go downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Line 30, maybe Craig could, it was just confusing. It says the town of Bristol recently went from being a single recycled to no recycling.
It was single stream
Single
Yeah,
recycling.
so it should, and then it should say being single stream to no recycling, and the decision has caused an overflow. Stick an and in there. And
Yeah,
then-
that's good.
And 2 more lines down where it says,
That would be 32.
that would be line 32, sir.
Thank you, Eli.
It could take out but would prefer and put in the word with, could accept the cardboard with a trial run of 90 days, not just that he
Yeah,
prefers, and we
yeah.
agreed.
Yeah,
So it should say with.
okay.
Line 37 where it says the board clarified to the public about the Ashland 4th of July committee and appointment, however, it didn't clarify.
Right.
So it should say the board clarified to the public, not just that volunteers can help the committee. It should say the board clarified to the public, 5 residents make up the committee with volunteers helping out.
Right. That's good, Lee.
Is
Thank
that
you.
okay
I like that. Yeah.
with everybody?
Yep. Wonderful. Anything else? Anybody?
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Hearing nothing else, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, December 2nd as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, new business. Elizabeth Figueroa, approval to close the River Street for an hour for a wedding. You want to give us some information on that? Congratulations.
Thank you. This is my husband-to-be, Mark Schultz. We live on
Nice
River
to meet you.
Street,
Okay.
and we've been there for
Hi,
more.
Chelsea.
We've been there for more than 15 years, or over 15 years. We'd like to have a ceremony in front of the bridge. We ask if we can have the road closed from 4 to 5 just by the bridge on the opposite of the marina. So we'd have it on the side where the marina is.
Okay.
Knowing that there's access if there's an emergency and any of the residents can get to their homes from the other end. And we wouldn't be setting any chairs up or anything. It's just a gathering. We're going to say our I do's and
About how many people?
70.
Okay.
That's all in the works, so it could be a lot less than that.
Yeah.
But, so we're not planning on putting chairs or anything. It's literally just the gathering, and then we'll walk and have a reception at the marina.
Nice.
The hour that we're asking for is more than what we need.
So it's after the beach is closed, pretty much?
What
Yeah.
time?
No, it says
What
three
time?
You said 4 to 5?
So I'm saying 4 to 5. You're correct in that I had asked 3 to 4 in my email. So
Okay.
since changed that.
Okay. I'd like input from the fire chief and the police chief, if you wouldn't mind making any comments or raising any concerns.
I don't have any concerns. Our heavy apparatus use River Street from the end toward town anyway. We don't go across the bridge. And so that
Oh,
would not
right.
affect us at all.
Okay.
I can't see any problem with it. There was right down the street another access point, easily gone around.
Okay. I would assume we'd have to give notice to the residents, perhaps on River Street and Levitt Hill, to let them know somehow?
I don't think you need to.
Okay.
It's not a state road.
Okay.
Maybe just a
Could we put up a
sign?
sign just
Sign.
giving them notice so that they can plan accordingly?
Yeah.
Well, we recommended they get a detail.
Okay, yeah,
Oh.
that would
okay.
certainly be good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do they need a permit of assembly?
It's outside.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to
I'm
that
just-
question.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Ask Will or
I don't.
Chief Heath?
I don't know. I'd have to
Okay.
know.
All right,
I don't believe it would.
I think
It's not
it's-
inside. It doesn't
Yeah.
involve seating. and-
okay,
Right.
okay.
Problem.
Are there any other, yes, Ann?
Yes,
Not-
August 22nd.
Not necessarily would affect anything, but the beach, if things go right, is going to be open until 5
Okay,
next year.
Okay.
Just FYI.
okay. But again, if a sign is up well in
Right, they
advance,
can still get to it, that's fine, just
Yeah.
an FYI.
You
Yeah.
might have people joining you.
You might get more than seven.
bathing suits optional. Are there any other questions or concerns?
I have none.
No?
I think it's great.
I think it's wonderful.
Beautiful
Doesn't
idea.
affect anybody, then it's not a big deal.
No, absolutely
No.
not. It's certainly a lovely setting. So can I have a motion
I'll
to
make that motion to
approve the
approve.
closing of the road for a wedding ceremony in
Yes,
front of the covered
what
bridge?
you said, Fran.
What I
I'll make
said.
that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Craig, did you have a concern before we move?
You can go ahead and vote.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Yes. What are they gonna do about parking?
Well, you're having your reception at the marina, correct?
So we
Yes,
have marina parking. There's a specific.
Across the street, up
Oh,
above.
up above, yeah, okay,
Not where the beach is, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
There's one up there
okay,
beside the boats.
okay. Anything
But
else?
not on the street.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's signed
yeah.
No parking
It is
on.
signed in the summertime, yeah,
outside.
okay. Anything else? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You got it, congratulations.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, Craig?
If you guys want to come by and get some road close signs, I think probably for the other side, the Route 3 side might be good. I've got
Oh, yeah.
the cones up. Just come down and see me at the highway garage and we'll,
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do that.
we'll
That's a great
just on
idea.
the other side, I think people coming from there might
Yeah,
Yeah,
turn in there and just try
That's
to
a
go
good
over the
point.
bridge.
right.
Okay,
And contact Chief Will for if you need a detail,
yeah,
because that's in his purview.
absolutely. Okay, wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Okay, happy wedding. Okay, we have some department heads. We have all of our department heads here tonight. And we thought it would be a good idea at the end of the year for them to tell the public what they've been about. Because we know as the select board that they do far more than the public is aware of. We get brief reports every month from the town manager, but we know there's a lot more behind the scenes. So we'd like to take the time to have each of you tell your story so that the public can hear how proud we are of our department heads. So who would like to go first?
We pulled straws.
You. Did you get the short straw, Patsy?
Ian, I thought you wanted to go first.
Okay, so like, I'll sit in front of Charlie and address the public and you. Pat Tucker, town clerk, tax collector, and utility player in the town office, which means that, like on a baseball team, I can do all sorts of things. So review of 2019, issue of motor vehicle registrations and titles, and to date, the town has collected $364,923. I wrote this on Thursday. Issue dog licenses, and to date, over 400 licenses issued, with only $18,882 is the profit for that, because it's only $4 a dog, or 50 cents a dog if you're a senior citizen. I work with the vital records and issue marriage licenses and produce certified copies of death, birth, marriage, and divorce records. And to date, the town portion of collected was 1222. I record and preserve public records of the town, and this is an ongoing process complying with RSA 33, the retention schedule. Record and certify minutes of town meetings, assist in all federal, state, and local elections. Last year there were 2, this year there'll be 4, this coming year there'll be 4. I accept voter registrations and forward them on to the supervisor of the checklist. Administer oath of office to elected or appointed officials. Receive services of writs of action against the town, and they're filed away. And record articles of agreement. In addition to the responsibilities mandated by the state for town clerks, I assist in the following. I provide notary services, which is free of charge to the residents and taxpayers, and the fee for others is $5. I pursue payment for checks returned by financial institutions for non-sufficient funds, whether they're for town clerk, tax collector, or the landfill, or Parks and Rec. I take care of those. Issue transfer station permits. I issue beach passes. I assist the building inspector's office when needed, and this includes issuing applications for permits and collecting fees when they're calculated. I aid the public in genealogy services when anybody comes to the counter for that purpose. I respond to inquiries from the general public. I process all daily deposits, which include town clerk, tax collector, and anybody else who brings money to the town. I am the liaison for the 911 state addressing system. That means I work with the state with new numbering as needed for new properties. The tax collector's duties are to issue tax bills per warrant that is given by the Board of Selectmen. The property tax warrants for 2019 issued totaled $6,871,714. And to date, we have collected $6,291,0291, which is a 92% collection rate.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Thank you to those residents who do their diligence and do their duty to the town. Tax liens are created for unpaid taxes, and this involves sending out certified letters, mortgage searches, and etc. And to date, the total of outstanding tax liens is $181,850. Other taxes warranted and collected could include land use change or timber tax warrants. This office is governed by the following state and federal agencies: the New Hampshire Department of Safety, Motor Vehicle Division, the Bureau of Registration, Bureau of Title and Anti-Theft, Bureau of Financial Responsibility, the New Hampshire Department of Agriculture, which is the Animal Industry Division where the dog licenses go. The state fees go. New Hampshire Secretary of State, the Division of Vital Records, Division of Archives and Records Management, the Election Division, U.S. Compliance with HAVA and ADA, New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, New Hampshire, that is for wetland permits and such, New Hampshire Office of Information Technology, and the New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration. I have had the pleasure of working for the town of Ashland for 29 years. And at this time, I'd like to take the opportunity to say that I presented a budget to the board, which I want the people out there to know, that I presented a budget to the board which reflected a 3% increase in pay for this position. The increase still reflects the lowest paid department head in the town. After receiving the budget, which was 117 pages long, as it was forwarded to the budget committee, I noticed that the lines for my salary and longevity were the only lines cut by the Board of Selectmen. All other salary or compensation increases were not touched. This action was taken without me present and with no explanation given. They did give me offer a 1% increase, which amounts to like $9 a week. I just wanted the public to know all that. Thank you.
Who's next?
I guess I will go.
Okay.
Okay, so I run the Park and Rec Department, and just gonna give you some numbers of the kids.
And this is Ann Varney, by the way. She'll
Sorry, Ann
introduce
Varney.
herself.
The after-school program at the end of the school year in June, we had 43 kids enrolled and 21 average daily. We have summer camp where we had 35 kids signed up that went every day to the camp for 7 weeks. We run for 7 weeks. We go to trips, Lost River, Clark's, all those places. We do a messy Olympics with the help from the fire department. The kids love it. They get all chocolate and whipped cream and then go under the hoses. And we had a lot of people helping us with that, donations, like Elaine Hughes Realty donates the t-shirts for us, which is a great savings for us. The Common Man donated ice cream to all the kids when we had our Mardi Gras parade through town. They got to stop there and get ice cream. The after school right now, the program for now that started in September, we have 45 kids with an average of 28 per day, so it's going up.
Wow.
I'm in charge of the campground. The campground was full, 28 sites. There were a lot of trees taken down at the parking lot and the beach with help from Craig and his department. We did have an incident at the beach where the Snatch Act was broken into, so now there are cameras there, FYI. We're watching you now. Let's see. We do a lot of different kids' night outs, and we had October's Kids Night Out. We had 21 kids, where all the kids dress up, do a little trick-or-treating thing. We had one in November, where we had 22 kids. There's one coming December 20th, which is this Friday. So there'll be a visit for Santa, so bring your kids. It's $5 per kid. In February, there's a Valentine's Kids Night Out where we had 22 kids. In March, we had 15 at our Kids Night Out. And then in April, we had for the third year an Easter egg hunt where we had over 30 kids come.
Wow.
And thank you to Ann Lampson and St. Mark's. They donated some candy for us for that. At the beach this year, we had lifeguards the whole time, and also we had swimming lessons for the kids, for camp kids, and also anybody else that wanted to sign up. Then, just recently, the baseball field, the baselines, we had that with a lot of help from people in the community. Brett Melanson, Bruce Balo. Baloo, is that how it is? Okay. Buzzy Sherrill, Craig Moore, Sam Liebert, Hunter Melanson, Jeremy Hiltz used his trucks to go get all the material for it. And Tree Solutions let us use some of their equipment to redo all the base lines at the park. Thank you for all the help. We had a brand new AC system donated and installed by Squam Lakes Plumbing and Heating and Maurice Guyot. Thank you for that. And what else? We had to replace the poles at the tennis courts, and hopefully we are going to get tennis courts done this year.
Yes.
So,
Which is a warrant article.
yes,
It's gonna be coming.
Oh, okay.
good.
yes, for the price of the tennis court.
That's just the tennis, not the basketball?
Tennis and basketball
Okay,
together,
great.
they're together.
Great.
Good.
And then the other article was just the wording to add "and grounds" that didn't go through last year.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Still don't understand that, but whatever.
Right, I don't think people quite understood that it was just a change in wording.
Right.
We weren't
Right.
looking for another
Yeah.
line item.
Right.
Yeah. And the reason why that is we have a capital reserve funds for buildings.
Right.
And there's some funds in there that we'd like to use to maybe put in an irrigation. I
Yeah.
proposed an irrigation system for the field. Yeah.
Yeah,
Rusty
you did.
told me we could save a lot of water out there if we.
Oh, I had a system instead of going out and doing
Just
it
let
right.
it,
every.
yeah. It'd be on a timer
Good point.
probably.
It's just an example.
Yeah.
We can water through the rain.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ann. It sounds like you've had a successful year.
Yes.
Numbers that keep going up.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, what a
Okay.
great change.
Yeah, for sure. All right, who's next victim? Chief Heath.
Hi, fire department. I believe it should be in your packets, because mine is somewhat abbreviated in terms of, all the information. I updated it, and I have a copy for you that I'll leave with you. But as far as incident activity, we're maybe slightly ahead of where we were last year, but the new program this year is a per diem program. It's working very well, doing exactly what it was intended to do. We initiated it because now with everyone working out, or not everyone, but the greatest majority of our personnel working out of town, we're vulnerable during the workday. And we had a large number of, I think last year we had 23 non-response calls. And this year it's 4.
That's amazing.
And 2 of those occurred during the per diem time, but due to the fact that the crew was already on another call. So we greatly reduced that. And
That's
the other
wonderful.
2 that were non-response calls occurred during the time when there is no coverage. There's no evening coverage until 9, and so it was between the end of the day shift and the beginning of the night shift. Some of the things we've accomplished, all the equipment testing that we do every year has been done. We handled all the hose testing this year in-house during the per diem shifts. The flow testing was done on the breathing apparatus, the ground ladders and the aerial were all tested, and pumps were tested. Emergency lighting at the station, fire alarm system, and extinguishers are also, we had their annual test and maintained. As far as apparatus goes, ladder 1 was undercoated, which should extend the life of that. It was a pretty heavy-duty job done by Fleet down in Bow, and it came back, it's in great shape. Underneath it was rusting, but they removed it all and enameled the underneath and then put a coat of something over that. So it should, as I said, it should extend the life of the truck. The primer pump on engine 1 was replaced. It was discovered during the pump testing that it was, it seized up and it was, or the truck's an 87. But the truck continues to pump very well and still performed as well as any of the others during the annual pump test. Brake cable and cylinder on the ambulance, and also one new wiring harness were put on the ambulance. It's been out of service twice this year for those 2 issues, and it's back in service now. We have also this year we added onboard compressors on engine 1 and on the ambulance. So they now, when they're on a shoreline and they have onboard generators which keep the air pressure up. So we're looking to do away with our in-house air system. A large compressor downstairs runs on 3-phase power, so we're hoping to be able to close and shut that down. The onboard compressors seem to be working well, and we want to make sure of that before we did away with the other compressor. We also, another project done by per diem people was they painted all the hydrants in town.
We've noticed.
We used just regular old Rust-Oleum and nothing special, but they look pretty good, and they were color-coded, which caused a stir. I understand, I was out of town at the time when that started, but just to let everybody know, the color code tells our driver operators what they can expect to get out of that hydrant. In terms of gallonage, blue is 1,500 gallons and more, and green is 1,000 gallons up to $14.99. Orange is 500 gallons up to $9.99, and red is less than 500.
Okay.
So you can see those, and a lot of times when you see the red hydrants, it's because it's due to the size of the water main. Okay. Majority of our blue hydrants are down along Main Street, to the center of town. There is one, the actual best hydrant in town is at the low point on Winter Street.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Right on the south end of the mill,
Okay.
or west end of the mill, I guess. Inspections continue. We inspect rental properties, certificate of occupancy, school annually, and we also conduct fire drills in coordination with the school. I do assembly permits that have to be renewed annually, and furnace installations and so forth, and work closely with Patsy, who passes the information on. She issues the permits, contacts me, and then I get the paperwork back. So it works very well that way. And as far as grants, there's a whole section on that. this year had completed our EMS in the Warm Zone grant that we received last year. And we completed all the training for it. We have 7 EMTs now that are trained in EMS operations at active shooter
Wow.
incidents.
Great.
We've purchased 4 ballistic vests, which are carried on the ambulance. And so we have vests, helmets, and associated medical supplies for those events. We hope that we never have to use those, but we are, trained and prepared. And we also realize that we're not going to handle such an event by ourselves, so we train and coordinate extensively with other towns around us who have done the same thing. Bristol underwent the training, New Hampshire, Campton, Thornton, Plymouth, Holderness is doing it right now. So, we're developing a regional capability to respond to any type of these events. Hazard mitigation plan, and again, I want to thank all the department heads for participating in that. Everybody was there. We had no problem meeting our end of the deal. Part of the town's cost was the hours, the payment in kind, and we were well over what the requirement was.
Okay.
So there's a lot of outstanding participation, and that's completed, and the reimbursement is in process right now. It's pending. Also got a New Hampshire Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant, and that's a 50-50 grant, and we use that. I use what I normally had in the forestry equipment line, and we had $982, I guess, through the grant for replacing our wildland firefighting clothing, the shirts, pants, helmets, gloves, and that sort of thing. We were able to complete that project. I did apply for an Assistance of Firefighters grant, our breathing apparatus, which we got through a grant in 2004, are now 15 years old. The packs are in good shape, the units themselves. However, the bottles have a 15-year lifespan. We ran into a little bit of problem with it because after this year, we can't get them hydro tested, so they actually expired this year. We were very fortunate. When we received information that we were not getting the grant, we had to come up with a quick plan, and I went to Charlie and got a purchase order to start purchasing bottles to replace them in waves. We ended up not having to do that right now because we were talking with a dealer, and we were able to acquire 32 bottles, okay, that have 2 years left in them.
Great.
2 years of, they're valid for 2 more years. And so we are able to develop a more gradual plan. And I, again, am applying, the grant period opens up in January until, and it was going to open early December, but the date keeps getting pushed back. And, but anyway, I plan to resubmit an improved proposal for replacing that equipment.
Great.
And hopefully, we'll have some success with that this year. If in the meantime, we are going to be developing a gradual replacement plan. We're doing that with a lot of our equipment now. We're having success with pagers. We're not going out and buying 30 new pagers at a time. We're doing it in waves. A little bit of the budget each year going to replace them. And so they're not all the same age, and then they don't all have to be replaced at the same time. Same with we've been doing that for a number of years with our structural firefighting gear, and it seems to be working. The cardiac monitor, we recently received notification from Food and Drug Administration about people who monitors these types of equipment. Our cardiac monitor is a somewhat vital piece of equipment. They are all the ones that are manufactured or on the market now are supposed to work automatically if you for pediatric, you set it for pediatric, and it's supposed to automatically attenuate and tone it down in order to allow that use. There is some question the FDA's come up with in regards to whether or not they do it reliably. Okay. Fortunately, we haven't, and we've had to use our monitor in any pediatric situation, but the possibility exists. So in 2021, all current monitors have to be replaced. So we're going to be working on how to do that. We're going to go the grant process again and try to acquire funds to do that, because those are big hits, and it's really tough for us to take those.
Yeah.
And what's next? Well, the warrant articles for this year. This will mark actually the fourth payment. Let's say it's the third year, because the way the lease agreement was written is it's 107 a year. What we did in the very first year when the truck was ordered, we raised only 53,000 something by warrant in order to make a payment. We spread, a whole year's payment over 2 years. Okay, and that saved us money in terms of interest. Okay, so this is the second of the $107,000 payments that we need to make. This is the last year we'll go to the voters for funds for this, because this will put us close enough so that next year we can pay it off out of capital reserve.
Great.
And still have some money left in capital reserve in order to pay it. We looked at doing that this year, but there wasn't quite enough there to do it, and also it would have zeroed out the capital reserve line plus. And that's it. I don't
Okay.
think anybody have any questions or.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Greg?
Good. All right. Craig Moore, Public Works Director. So I gave you quite a list of things we did, and I'll just skim over it because it'll take me 20 minutes to read all through this. One of the things that I put on this list was just like the highlight of the big things. Of course, everybody probably sees us out there doing lawn mowing, we pick up garbage, we cold patch the roads, and we do all that every kind of maintenance on the roads. If somebody needs something fixed, we do that as well. We do a lot of little things around town, whether it's minor repairs. But going through, starting off last year, as everybody knows, we had 38 snow events last year. It drained our budgets down to about nothing. And in fact, we went over on our salt line and our overtime line. This year, at December 4th, we had 11 snowstorms already last year at this time. So we're well below that. So
Knock on wood, yeah.
Knock on
It's not wood.
I know, composite.
Particle board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bad winter, which caused, everybody knows, a lot of work on our dirt roads. It really, we were out there every day. We spent I think it was over 300 yards of 1.5-inch stone on our dirt roads. We might do 30 or 40 yards, in certain areas, but we were out on huge stretches of roads because of the water table last year. So that was pretty good. The plus side of that, it firms up the road for this year. So hopefully we won't be out there again, adding that money to it in the base. So after that, like Ann was saying, spring was out and just about out, and the ground was still frozen. So we wanted to get over the beach and cut. I think we cut 15 or 20 trees that were all dead on the top, and that took us. I think that took us 3 or 4 days. And that wasn't where it ended. We just decided to do it right. We stumped everything, we pulled everything out, we added some fill, we made a nice little lawn area over at the beach. We decided, Dan and I, to beautify the parking lot a little bit. We added some some reclaimed asphalt, which really holds real tight. And in the summertime, it tightens up almost like pavement. So she's got a real nice parking lot there now. It's nice and squared up. Nice split rail fence, and we did a lot of landscaping right there too. That was pretty tough with all the wires. So we finished up with that in early April. And of course, after that, we have to go fix all the roads, get all the leaves out of them. That takes quite a few weeks out of the year to pull all the dead leaves out of the ditches. Once we do that, it all gets on the top of the road. We have to scrape all that stuff off, put a new cap on it with ledge pack, tighten it up, pack it down, and hopefully it's good for the summer, and we might have to just dress it up a little bit throughout the year. So we did that. That brought us kind of into June-ish area. And then we started the fire station project. And some of these projects we've never done before, but because we have some of the equipment that the town has purchased, it allows us to do all this stuff that we've never done before. We've always hired it out, which costs a lot of money to have other companies come in and do it. So we have equipment down there, we're gonna use it. We're gonna continue to use it, hopefully. And the fire station project, I think, took us a week to do that, but we had to remove all the old asphalt, all the old silty, sandy, rocky fill that made the parking lot originally fail. And we put about 10 inches to a foot of ledge pack in there and redid the parking lot. And along with that, we did Firehouse Lane. So we kind of rebuilt that road by ourselves with our crew, and the rear parking lot as well. So that was a pretty extensive project that I'm happy. I think it came out good. We gave Steve a little bit bigger parking lot so he can test his hose now. So he's able to put that hose all the way out, which is really good for him. He can put the ladder truck out and test it and everything. So I hope we made things better there and it looks good. From there, I think we had a bunch of road damage from the winter. And two pretty big areas that really took some work was by the monument. And that's was one of those, is that our drain or is that the state drain? And they couldn't get to it, so without researching it, we just fixed it. I thought that was gonna be a little bit of a fix, but it turned out to be a major fix because it was all rotted. So we had to rebuild that from scratch, right from the bottom up. So we got that done, and then we fixed a problem that's been going on for 2 or 3 years down on Carr Avenue, which kind of was a nightmare. It took us quite a while to figure out how to do it, but somebody had allowed a parking lot to be put in a driveway where it shouldn't have been. So we had to figure out how to navigate around that, make everything work, and we did it. And along with that, we had to redo a whole culvert system to make all of it tie in. That took about a week probably to do that. So we went from there to, let's see, the storage building at the transfer station, which was all approved by the warrant articles that we had last year. So that, another pretty big project, but took a lot of site work, excavation work. We built a big retaining wall in that holds the building, the Quonset hut building that we have. So we did that. We had to erect the foundation, so to speak, and then the Reese Construction put the building up itself. Yeah, that's coming up, Joe. From that point on, we started the excavation work for the scales and things of that sort.
I thought I was getting a puppy.
Again, was a lot of excavation, a lot of site work. Because we have the wheeled excavator and stuff, we're able to do all this stuff for the town. So we did a lot of landscaping. The scales, just so everybody knows, we're trying to get the scales online. They're online, they're actually working.
Good.
But Charlie and I, we have to, and maybe some other people, whoever wants to get it on the action, figure out a fee schedule for it.
Oh, yes.
So right now, there's
The action, yeah.
whoever wants to tell us how they want it. Right now, the guys guess on how much is being thrown out. So if you bring your truck in, they might say, oh, it's $50. And
Right.
you can bring that same amount in tomorrow and it could be $100.
Right.
So you might be getting overcharged, you might be getting a deal, we don't know. So the scales will actually tell them how much to charge. So
Good
without
idea.
dealing with nickels, dimes, quarters, and pennies down there's a lot of things we could do that we have to decide to do. So I expect sometime in January, we'll nail that down. We'll all have to go down and get weight certified New Hampshire Waymasters, and then we can start using them. So look for that change coming down there, and it should save us some money, and people will be paying, the users will be paying for it, not everybody.
Okay.
So from there, we went on to the road, I think, Charlie. Yeah, so we went on to do the road, and a lot of people think it's just you put pavement on the road, but you have to prepare the road to be paved. So it was several truckloads back and forth, and the grader that we own, and back and forth, and the little roller we own, and rolling it, and getting it all ready to go for pavement. So that took quite a few weeks. We put a new drain in just to help with drainage, so we wouldn't ruin the road before we even got started. And then Rusty saw how good we were doing. And he asked us to do his parking lot down there.
All right.
So we spent a couple weeks down there and did all his parking lot the same way we did the fire station. Did some landscaping for him. It's not done yet, I don't think, but we're 99% done, I think, for this year at least. One of the things that was done is Levitt Hill was paved finally. We've been looking for that. We did Levitt Hill. The state paved Highland Street, and the state paved it, but we had to do a lot of work on our end. So we had to pave our end, but all those drains had to be raised up. Some of them have never been raised, and they were 6 or 8 inches, 12 inches too low. And that's, you have to dig it out, you have to take all the old stuff out and bring it up. So that's a little bit of work. And then we just like we suck up leaves all fall long. So you guys see us picking up leaves around town at people's in front of their houses, and that's to stop the leaves from going into the catch basins around town. So if anybody has leaves, I'd rather pick them up than have them go into the catch basins because they cause trouble. So that's why you see some of the residents put them out by the side of the road, so we can just suck them up with our truck. So some upcoming stuff. I talked to Rusty briefly a few times about Hillside Ave, because that's one of my target roads to get paved, and there's a chance we could work with the water and sewer department and reconstruct that road in the spring. Along with that, replacing a sewer line, Rusty? Water line, up through there. And that's something we would have contracted out, but it's an opportunity for us to save some money and do it in-house. And it'll cost probably half of what it normally would have cost. So that's a big project for the spring. Since Thompson Street has failed, I think, how many times? 2 or 3 times? Three. I think my feeling is, and working with the town manager, is to just pave it. And let's put a Band-Aid on it for 5 or 6 years. And along with Thompson Street, we'll do High Street and hit Smith Hill. We'll shim and overlay it. That'll put a nice smooth surface. Our equipment will be much better maintained. Plow lights and everything, we break them every year on that. It's just bounce them too much. So we've decided just to pave it, and we're gonna use some funds, the road project money and the capital reserve funds to do that. So, and hopefully we can get some other debt paid off in town and then go ahead and try for that again in a few years. We'll be repairing the guardrails to the covered bridge next spring. If everybody's seen them, they're kind of rotted. So we're gonna put new guardrails both sides. A warrant article we're gonna have is for a new 1-ton. Now that 1-ton is a 2011. It's our workhorse truck. We use it all summer and all winter to haul gravel, tar, everything. It gets used all the time, and it's rusting out. It has the same problems as the ambulance. The wires are starting to wear through, and we had an electronic control module go that the box is rotted right away in the truck, and that was, I think it was $1,800 for that. And the guy told me, this isn't, you're coming back in a few months because it's just starting to rust. All the control wires are going. It's the same with the ambulance. You just can't keep things, and it lives its life in salt. So we're gonna go for a warrant article to replace that truck next year. And that's it. My crew did a great job this year. I'd just like to thank them if they're watching. We couldn't have done it without them. It certainly was a team effort, and all the other department heads that help us. I really appreciate it. I think we're working great as a team, and I can't wait to see more happen next year.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
What about Cottage Street?
Very nice.
Cottage Street, what did I forget about?
Well,
The drainage issue?
You can go ahead and talk about it.
little pat on the back for Craig. We had this irate property owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, the property owner, she worked on me quite a bit about water runoff, and their wall, was the brick wall?
Well, it's a stone wall.
Stone wall collapsed, and the running thing with towns is the water, you kind of own it, you gotta be friendly neighbors. So we said, we'll take care of it, but the water was ponding, like, a couple feet deep.
Oh, yeah, at least, yeah.
2 feet deep,
Wow.
running up, down from Highland.
Yeah.
So Craig traced it back to the property owner and got the property owner to make a catch basin.
You put a
or
retention pond in.
retention pond in.
Oh, wow.
So it catches the water, and now it's not running all the way down.
Great. Okay.
That was something that was going on since I think the first
30
email was in the
years.
80s,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Yeah,
So
Good
we thought,
You know what
customer
I'm talking
it's
service.
in the file,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good customer service. Excellent. Okay. Next,
High five.
Oh,
Good job.
good, yeah.
Chief.
Rusty?
Rusty? Okay.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Rusty Cross, Water and Sewer Superintendent. This year I went back to work for the town after 19 years of contract operations.
Yeah.
Now everything's back into the town. We did several meter repair and replacements. Did a lot of upgrades, repaired some chemical feed pumps and the tubing at the water plant. Did some roof repairs to the water plant. That roof's gonna need to be replaced in the near future, but we got it patched up, so it'll be good for this year. Did several hydrant repairs. We do about 30 seasonal water turn-on, turn-offs every year in the spring and fall. So that takes usually a week and a half or so to take care of all that. Drain the campground out for Ann and take care of that. This spring we flushed the water distribution system, got that all flushed out, clean, with no issues. We had a water main break at the intersection of Riverside Drive and River Street. There was a failed gate valve, so it was an 8-inch gate valve that came apart. So that was fixed and replaced, and I believe that was October. Took care of all of our right-of-ways where we have sewer and water mains. We did brush and mowed. We take care of the fields at the water plant. We did all the mowing for those, keep it mowed down so it doesn't grow in. Raised all the gate valves and sewer manholes for the paving of Levitt Hill and Highland Street. Did some road maintenance to the water tower, the road up through there. Had to do some brush cutting, take care of the road up there. Assisted a bunch of homeowners with some grinder pump repairs, which is basically around the Squam Sewer Drive area. The homeowners own them, but we try to help them maintain them when they have issues. Did the paving at the parking lot at the wastewater plant with Craig's assistance. So this year for the water and sewer, we met all our permit requirements. We didn't have any violations through the state or EPA. Our new headworks and septic receiving facility is close to being online. We're behind a little bit, but probably by late January we should be up and going.
Wonderful.
And that's everything seems to be coming together fairly well right now. So we're hoping by late January everything will be functioning. We did some lagoon maintenance, take care of some washouts, some cutting stuff around the lagoons. Took care of some sewer main flushing and inspections on North Main Street. And did several repairs, some upgrades, and a lot of maintenance to the sewer pump stations on River Street. So for warrant articles this year, we've got one for $100,000, which is to implement our energy audit that was done a year and a half ago. We'll have to spend $50,000 and we'll get $50,000 back. It's kind of a matching one. And then the other one we have is for $75,000, which is for the lagoon study. Once we spend that and show that what we've done with it, then we will get reimbursed 100% for that.
Great. Wonderful.
What about saving the turtle at the lagoons? Come on, tell that story.
Oh, boy. Let's hear it.
When we were discharging in November, we couldn't stop the flow.
This one.
and then we ended up having a huge snapping turtle stuck in the.
How huge? How huge was
He
it?
was
The neck on it was about
Yeah.
that big.
Oh, man.
So,
Glad it wasn't in
we
the
were able to
lake.
get it cleared out and
They got it.
and shut off.
turtle.
Was
Oh,
it,
my goodness.
was it euthanized or did you move it? Was it
No, they
euthanized
saved
or did
it.
you move
They
it?
saved
It got
it.
flushed through the system,
Where'd it go?
down to the river.
It went downriver.
Hopefully, way down. Great. Quick question, Rusty. Craig mentioned Thompson Street. I'm assuming that the water lines that need to be replaced will now have to wait until we get a full reconstruction of that road?
Yeah.
Are they gonna be okay for the next
Yeah, we've had.
however many years?
Over the last 6 or 8 years, I think we've had 2 water main breaks up there. Nothing significant. We got some older hydrants. We'll just kind of replace them as we go if need be.
Okay. Okay.
And the selectmen should really, as we get closer to the end date, come down and see that Headworks,
Yes.
and Septage receiving.
We should do it as a group.
You
We
should
should,
do it as a group.
definitely, definitely.
We'd have to
Great.
post it.
Yes, yeah,
So
well,
we have
that's
a-
okay. Post it and
That's
so
all right.
Rusty can give us
Yeah.
a tour.
We'll have a little
Right.
septic party.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, so Rusty and I are talking, some people think it's all septic, but it's Headworks.
No, it's
It's
Headworks,
not.
I
And
know.
Headworks
That's
is-
right.
That's huge, so the public knows. I mean, we're
Right.
catching
Yeah, it's
stuff, so it doesn't go
complicated.
into the lagoon.
Exactly.
That's right.
Now, this will prolong the life of the lagoons
Yes.
considerably, so,
Yeah,
great.
does the public know what Headworks is?
So
No,
the headworks is where everything's coming into the facility. So there we will do the screening, removal. all
Other
the
than,
flow
other than the
measurements.
trucks coming in is what?
Yes,
town-
yes,
That's right.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
So the
great.
flow channel where the septic is going into, also everything from town's coming through. So we'll take and clean that up
Wonderful,
as well.
wonderful. Okay, thank you, Rusty. Chief Olwick.
All right, so
you do the electric department.
we have
do like
had one heck of a year. Lots of
Say
changes
we
going
got the
on.
money.
So we've had quite a changeover in our personnel. So Chief Randall had resigned his position back in June. And I took over at that time. And Officer Bruce Cody, he left law enforcement altogether and moved down to Massachusetts. So he's left the state entirely. So he moved on. And then Officer Waterbury had left. He went to another surrounding agency. And he did great things for us. He's doing great things for them, and we still work with him regularly. So we're happy that he's still in the area and he didn't go too far away. With that, lots of hiring and moves. So I went from lieutenant to chief. Sergeant Derek Gray went from sergeant to lieutenant. So drastic change in responsibilities for the two of us. Going right down the line, we hired Gary Bovair to be our new sergeant. He comes to us with 14 years of experience. So huge asset to the town. And he's going through schooling right now to further his knowledge and career. And so we're real happy about that. He's doing very well with us coming to us. He's only been with us for a few months now. Right down the line, Officer Betsy Elizabeth Scrafford came to us. She is in her 21st year of law enforcement, so brings quite a bit of knowledge to the town, and she's doing great things for us as well here. And then we also hired Officer John Moretto and put him through the full-time police academy. He is now out of that on his own. He threw his FTO, his field training process, and he's out on his own actually right now. John comes to us he's retired out of Concord Fire Department with over 25 years of service for Concord. So with the 3 new hires that we have this year, they brought over 60 years of public service experience to the town of Ashland from multiple different agencies, including much larger agencies than what we have here. So their backgrounds and their knowledge coming in here, I couldn't be more pleased with the staffing that we have as it sits right now. For me personally, the town, the board, Charlie, Tony, the staff that we have currently has been nothing but supportive, and I greatly appreciate that. It's been certainly challenging for me stepping into the new role so far. I've only been there since, basically the beginning of July, but it's one heck of a learning curve coming into this role. And lots of stuff. Tony was, through this process, cluing me in on how a lot of things work over the last several years, but nothing can quite prepare you for taking over this role. So I can't thank the townspeople as well as the board and everybody else that's been so cooperative and so helpful so far along this process. Let's see, we are in the process of hiring a 6th person. We, the town, is very excited about this process. We were down to 3 people for a period of time, which made things quite complicated. From everything from covering calls to getting our regular workload done. But we're now up to our current staff of 5, and with that, we've been authorized to hire this 6th person for quite some time now, but we just haven't physically had the opportunity to do it. To put a hiring process on with only 3 people on staff it's impossible. So we're in the process now. We're currently working on hiring the 6th person, and doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot to bring one more person in, but the asset to the town is going to be quite significant. That's going to allow us to run 24-hour coverage more nights than not. We won't be 24/7, 365, but we'll be 24 hours a day coverage for more nights than we're not, which will be significant for us. With that spot and the way that we run our schedule and our shifts, there'll also be a significant overlap at night. We'll have sometimes 2, even 3 officers on occasion at our busiest time of night, in the late night, 11, 12, 1, 2 hours, where we see more of our dangerous activity kind of kick off. So we'll have significant extra coverage then, which our response time, just like Steve is seeing, Chief Heath is seeing with his per diem guys, if we're on call at night and I'm getting called in from home, it's going to take me roughly 25 minutes to a half hour to get to the call. If we have somebody in town, it can be anywhere from immediate to 5 minutes if they're on the other side of town or whatnot. So that'll increase our response time in these late night hours quite significantly. It'll raise them, it'll diminish the amount of time it takes us to get to a call. And we work with the fire department, ambulance crew all the time. And one of the biggest problems that we see over these overnight hours is that we get called to what we call a hot call, a domestic, or some type of a fight with injury or something along those lines. Our fire department and ambulance crew cannot go to the scene and render aid because they have to wait for us to show up. In certain situations, we can call in another agency that is 24 hours to get them there and cover it until we can show up to make the scene safe. Not take over the investigation, but strictly to make it safe so that they can go in and do what they need to do, and we can kind of clean up the mess after the fact. With us being on call, that can't happen. They can't do what they need to do to help people, and it can be life-saving aid can be delayed, and that's certainly something that none of us want to see. We also noticed that a lot of the wave, I don't want to call it a crime wave by any stretch of the imagination, but the types of crimes that we've been seeing over the last several years with the drug epidemic going on in the state, that brings a kind of a different atmosphere of law enforcement to the mix. And one of the biggest things that we see is that there's an increase of stuff happening at night. With certain drugs that we encounter regularly, folks are up days at a time, and they may not be starting their day until 2 or 3 in the morning. And if we're not here, we can't control that. So the 6th person that we're currently in the mix of trying to hire right now is going to bring a significant service to the town. To let the taxpayers know, we pulled a lot of that money from elsewhere within our own budget and cutting out a lot of our part-time line. So what that does is that even though we're hiring a full another position, the cost isn't as significant as what it would be if we were just to go out and just hire somebody brand new and keep everything else the way it was. We've got rid of our 2010 Ford Expedition, which was ready to go. I was not going to pass inspection, so we finally got rid of that vehicle, and we replaced that vehicle with a Dodge Ram pickup truck this year. I'm sure it's been seen by probably everybody around town. And the value that we've already seen in the short time that we've had it is noticeable. We use it all the time, everything from moving bicycles to large pieces of evidence. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to remove animals from the roadway, and doing that in a cruiser is impossible, or at least very messy. So the pickup truck, we found that we were using personal vehicles quite a bit, because a lot of us on the department have pickup trucks. And I personally found myself using my own pickup truck quite a bit in the last couple of years here, with this amount of stuff that we've been having to move and remove. And just having the pickup truck has been very helpful already, and we've only had it for a handful of months now. So we're very pleased with it. I'll also add, again, for the taxpayers' purposes, the cost of the pickup truck. I've been hearing around town that it's quote-unquote extravagant and very expensive. Because it's government bid, the cost compared to our utilities was nominal. We're talking very short money, comparatively speaking. It's a special services vehicle, so it's not the pursuit rated engine. If we had got that, it would have raised the cost $30,000 or $40,000. But we didn't go with that rig because it's an administrative style rig. We are using for some patrol work, but it's not a patrol vehicle. It's primarily assigned to supervisors, and so it's not getting as beat up as our regular utilities are, and the cost was not significantly more than what the utilities cost. Actually, it costs less than what the new price of the utilities will be. So just an aside there, so that people are aware that we're not just going out and just spending astronomical amounts of money just because we felt like it. Let's see here. Our activity for the year was a little bit down in some areas, and that's kind of no surprise to me. Kind of expected, since we were running 2 or 3 months with only 3 people. We were very reactive at that point, which is not what we want to be. We went through a period of time where we were very proactive 2018, and so our numbers are a little bit lower because we went from being very proactive for being very reactive for a period of time. And I think for the most part, from talking to people in town, they understood that. They saw that we were running pretty thin. They were seeing only so many faces all the time, and it doesn't take much to realize that we were running pretty thin. Now, with the current staffing that we have, we purposely have hired the way that we did to be more proactive, get proactive style officers here, and also very community-oriented officers here. That was a big thing for us to look for in our hiring process with Officer Moretto, Scrafford, and Sergeant Gobert, was to get people who wanted to be active in town. Foot patrols are increasing. We want people to be visible, and not just because they're out stopping cars, although that is a big part of things. We are being much more active. We were trying to become more active anyway, but we're increasing that even more for public events, for any events in town, more activity in the school, being present in the school during the day, to Ann's stuff with at the library and the events that she has going on. We make a point to be there. All the types of events that we have going on in town, it's expected that people will be at the events, everything from basketball events, baseball, soccer, to the messy event that went out there. Now our officers are participating in these events. They're not just making a walkthrough and being, hey, we're here, you saw us, okay, we're good, and we're out. They're there and they're participating and they're playing with the kids, and the kids seem to be quite, they're enjoying it, which is what we've been trying to increase more in the last several years, and we're hoping that we're not hoping to, but we are going to be continuing that through the process in the next year also. I've already talked about hiring our new person here for the future stuff, but that's going to be one of our bigger ones. The other one is, it's actually, I believe it's on the agenda for tonight to talk about a little bit. We're looking at purchasing a speed trailer. We are aware that right now we are a 5-person agency and we cannot be everywhere at once. And we are looking to use some of the unanticipated funds that the town got from the state to purchase just, I think it's $6,300, a little bit more than that, I think. Speed trailer that we can move around town and put in hot spots to show people what their speed is. And in the process of trying to figure out which one we wanted, I've been talking to a lot of the agencies around us that have them. Pretty much all of the surrounding agencies do have one type of these devices or another, whether they be stationary or able to be moved around with the trailer, which is what we're looking at. And all agencies that I've talked to said that they found it extremely useful. They have noticed a decrease in the speeding in those areas when they are out, and overall because people are expecting to see them there, so they slow down as it is.
Right.
It also, I'm sure everybody that's driven around and come across one of these, the first thing you do when you see it is you look down at your dashboard. I do it too. Where I live, there's a static one that is right before the street that I turn on to get to my house, and I see it flashing. I know what the speed limit is. I go the speed limit, and I still look down at my dashboard. But I think it gives a very, very visible clue with flashing lights and the red light right in front of you, stating what the speed limit is and what your speed is. And so if people aren't cognizant of what the speed limit is, they now have it right in front of them. So it has been proven to reduce the speeding in those areas. And so we're looking to get one of those trailers, and there's going to be no impact to the town if we use these unanticipated funds to purchase that. And I did include the whole packet of the one that we're looking at. I looked at 3 or 4 of them. The one that I got, I was actually able to get the company to come down even more in price, so it's significantly less than the other 3 that we had looked at. They ranged from, initially the one that we're looking at getting was in the low $7,000 range, and then there was one for $8,000, low 8,000s, one for 9, and then one that was even higher than that, so that I didn't even look at. And then when I talked to this company, they were actually able to bring it down from the 7,200 or whatever it was, down to the 6,200 or 62 and change, 6,300. So the cost is less than what we thought it was going to be. And with it, having these unanticipated funds, we were hoping to be able to get a vote to go ahead and use those funds to purchase this trailer. It's solar powered, so we don't have to worry about pulling it in every night, storing it. We have the pickup truck, it has a trailer hitch on it to tow it around and move it to wherever we want it. It has anti-theft devices on it and everything along those lines. Deep cell batteries to charge up and save over time, so even if it's cloudy, it will still run for a couple of days. Not that we ever have days of cloudiness.
Never.
So that is, I think, everything in a nutshell.
Great, we'll get to that vote in a minute. But I want to...
Shall we do electric?
Go ahead.
You gonna do electric?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead and do
Did you have
electric.
questions for him?
No, I don't, I have final comments, but go do electric, please.
I would say a couple quick comments about the Ashland Electric Department. They are, or that department, I would say, is in transition right now. After the town went town manager, I'd say about a month after the superintendent resigned, and we were down to one journeyman linesman. So we hired a consultant, Dick Joyce, from Wellesley, Massachusetts, who's been a tremendous help, I think, not just for me, but I think for the board, in helping us take control of the operations, to better understand the department and how it works, to be there for our team in the office. So the one thing that I think we're also going through right now in AED is a financial transition. There's been financial struggles over there. Unbeknownst to anybody, the department had a power purchase agreement that's really affected them, that they've kind of locked in. So it's hampered on the ability to improve, to me, the infrastructure. That's a goal of this department next year, is to build up the reserves and then focus on putting back into the capital of the department. That's improving the lines, that's improving the transformers, that's improving the poles. The equipment over there is aging. It's improving the transformer, the substation. bringing our staff along. The staff has to be very trained and technically skilled. That's, I think, the goal running next year. North Ashland Road, a big controversial, so to speak, debt
There's no
service.
sort of speak about it.
Yeah, yeah, controversial aspect of the department that comes off the books next year. And the goal, like I said, is to build up those reserves because unlike the departments here that we have taxation power, there it's all rates. And the department is trying to do this without raising the rates. The rates, they did raise them, I believe, a penny the year before, but they've tried pretty hard not to really raise any of the rates. But we've made some decisions. We've got out of a few agreements that were costing the department a little bit of money. For example, renting a truck, Squam River Hydro. We purchased way too much power that didn't really need. Those are some agreements that we're looking to get out of. Dick recommended to us. We cut the budget about $300,000 next year. A lot of that is also to do with the power purchase changes. So once we build up those reserves, we'll be able to take the excess funds and put it into the infrastructure. You know, the goal is to really to cut down on those outages. So we will see. I had a couple other ones. The town office. We had a couple things that went on in the town office this year, administratively speaking. TAP grant. We're almost at the end with that. Next year, that's been going on for 5 years. Next year, I'm thinking we like to go out to bid in February to give that paved. Now, so everyone knows that's the
So
sidewalk
next year is the
project.
construction year.
Construction year
Okay,
next
good.
year. You know, if everything goes well, we can go out to bid in February or March to get it lined up for the summer.
Good.
We just got the structural report done. That's the L chip. We've already started to look into implementing some of those things. The big one next year maybe be
For which building, Charlie?
The town hall.
The town hall.
Thank you, Eli.
Number one on the list are the windows.
Yes,
We have
Yes.
fresh air.
Yep.
yes, windows.
So the architect has a couple contractors he's gonna refer me to. What else?
We have a finance officer now.
Yep, we have a new
HR,
finance
yeah.
officer. Yeah, full-time finance, HR,
Caitlin.
Well,
land
Land
use.
use, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to thank you all. And the theme that came through loud and clear, and I've heard it in private conversations with many of you in the past, is the interdepartmental cooperation and
Yep.
collaboration. You really have worked well together for the benefit of each other and especially for the town. And we as a board and as town people are incredibly grateful. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the huge transition we had this year with our town government. And our profound thanks to Charlie, who went from town administrator to town manager and bit off way more than he knew he could chew, including inheriting two utilities, and
Yes.
you know, has done a remarkable job with that. Again, big transitions this year. It's still a work in progress. Obviously, new hires and new road projects and new water projects and so forth. But we're on a roll, folks, and I speak for myself, and I'm sure for the board, we are profoundly grateful to all of you for making this a better town. So I would like to thank you.
Especially since it wasn't always like this.
No, it
As
was-
Some of
it
us
was
who have
not.
been here for a long
It was
time
not.
now, and it's been a long road.
Right.
And we're also lucky because Charlie is financially
On top of things,
astute.
savvy,
And
yeah.
we were very lucky to have a manager that's very good in finances.
Well, I think, you know, I'm glad that it went town manager, I guess.
you didn't say that last week.
But I've noticed going from TA to TM, it's brought the department heads a lot closer.
Good.
You know, in particular, Craig and Rusty really work hand in hand now.
Great.
On a lot of projects.
Well, I've seen it with all of you. I mean,
yeah.
you know, Parks and Rec and
Absolutely.
Fire and Police,
Yeah.
it's just,
really about the park.
it just makes me sleep better at night, so.
I want to say that
Great change.
I appreciated this because it reminded me all the positive work that's been done.
Right.
Because basically all I hear is negativity.
Right.
Why haven't we done this? Why did we buy this? Why, blah, 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 blah. And it, as a board member, it does beat you down.
Yeah.
And this was a very refreshing for me to hear all the positive stuff that was done through the year in
Yeah.
town. And
Yeah.
I'm going to go home with a different,
Right.
frame of mind.
And that's really why we wanted this meeting to happen, because as I said, we've heard these comments in some one-on-one meetings or separate board meetings, and the town needs to hear
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because as Kathleen so rightly pointed out, we get yelled at a lot. But, you guys have done a remarkable job.
So thank you
Guys,
very,
I
very
mean
much.
guys in the general
General
sense, I'm
sense.
not trying to
People.
single out, yeah.
Staff members.
So again, many thanks. Okay.
Let's spend some money.
Yeah, all right, so, now we have some specific votes to do. Public Works, you want to talk about the purchase of the vehicle lift?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, we have I think Lee, I don't know the exact figure, but Lee has to get underneath all the town vehicles to
I do?
our town mechanic. You could help him if you wanted to.
Wouldn't be much good.
So,
could hand him
if you think
tools.
about it, for years now, he's been jacking these cars up and getting underneath them as far as he can. Now, bear in mind, a jack
Right.
lifts it up about that high. So one of the recent things I saw him doing
$8,000.
was about a year ago, was we had a brand new cruiser down there, it's probably 3 months old. And he's taking a grinder and cutting the skid plates out so he could get to the filter. Only because he can't take the skid plates out because he can't get
Oh,
the car
can't
high.
get that far, yeah.
And so he's cutting a brand new cruiser apart that's got these protection plates underneath it just so he can take the filter out.
Oh, boy.
So that, number one, that was kind of like, why are we doing this? This is, nobody gets underneath a car like that. It's not safe. If something ever failed, he'd be underneath there and we're not in the shop 90% of the time.
Yeah,
we're
not
out.
good.
And he's down there alone working. So I think it's time to spend a little bit of money. They're not real expensive. So we're asking for $8,000. And that'll allow him to lift up all the police cruisers, the pickup trucks, the 1 tons and everything else we have. I don't think it will lift the ambulance up. But with the ambulance, it's a lot more clearance underneath there, as with the fire trucks. So to get underneath those, it's a little bit easier because you get about a couple feet anyway.
Okay,
So it's primarily used the pickup trucks, all the police cruisers, all the other vehicles, the water and sewer, electric, all those, and he'll be able to lift them up, change tires, do oil changes, and minor repairs that he can, brakes, things like that. So I'm asking for a vote to support, it's $8,000, it'll come out of my road improvement fund. I do have enough money, I think.
okay. You think?
Barring any,
Blizzards, okay,
Charlie and I talked today, I think we'll
Okay.
be able to get by. We
Okay.
have the money available.
okay,
The road improvement is the grant from the state,
yeah,
Block
yeah,
grant.
yeah,
so it's not gonna come from the town's, taxes or anything. It's a
Okay.
grant that we were given, so
Yep.
we were able to save that money throughout the year. Cause I was worried about going over on everything else, so we saved that money, so I think it'd be a great addition downstairs, safety wise, number one. And number two, it's be a little bit quicker for Lee and safer.
Okay.
The big thing is safely.
safety's
And
important.
A lot of the cruisers are big culprits now with all the skid plates and everything they have
Okay.
on them. So we're just looking to get that in, it's $8,000.
So the recommended motion is to approve the purchase of a new vehicle lift for the maintenance of town vehicles.
Fran, I think we should add for the amount, I think we should put the
Not
amount in
to,
it.
not to exceed.
Not to
Not to
exceed,
exceed.
Yeah.
The value.
Okay,
I assume this is
yeah.
up to
Just
8,000.
because,
Yeah,
so
not-
it's,
right.
formally in there.
okay. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Craig. Now, Chief Olwick, you've already given us the background for the,
You see how he slid that
I know, so we don't need to spend a lot of time for you
Yes.
explaining that, unless you have anything else you want to add. The recommended motion is to approve the expense of $6,463 for a speed radar trailer from unanticipated revenue.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Just don't put it near me anywhere.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Okay,
Hear me.
is there any other new business?
Did we want to ask the library trustees on updates about the library?
Oh, do you want to give us some updates? Anybody? No?
Come on, Martine, you can,
We're meeting later this week. That's
Okay.
what we've got to update.
Okay.
Was there a request to somebody? Well, probably the person who isn't here.
Yes.
Nice shift, David.
very good, David.
Okay. We're not prepared.
Okay. Nothing? All right.
Martine has a land use.
Land use announcement,
Okay,
I can do that quick.
okay.
Next Monday, which is the 23rd, at 6:30 here in the same room that we're in right now, is a public hearing on amendments that are being proposed to the zoning ordinance and to the building regulations. That is the first of two hearings that we need to hold according to RSA.
Okay.
It will be, as I said, 6:30 next week, the 23rd. The second hearing will be January 13th, also at 6:30 here in the same room. We will go over all the details of the proposed amendments. If any changes are made after our first public hearing, those changes would be on the proposed amendments at the second public hearing. Copies of those amendments are on the website. On the front page, there's a link
Okay.
to that, and there are also some paper copies of the proposed amendments in the town office on the shelf right in the little front lobby.
Okay.
And we will make sure that we keep stocked there, and we'll have copies at the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Mardine.
Yeah. The library put in a little free library, I think. There's an update from this
Oh.
year.
Tell us
Yeah,
about
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's right.
It's
And the-
installed in
It is
Memorial
installed
Park.
in
Okay.
Memorial Park, directly across from the library,
Okay.
near the benches. There's a
Oh,
little
cool.
free library.
Nice.
That is a trend that a lot of places are doing. Books are available, free to take. If you want to take one of those
Replace
books,
it.
if you want to put a book in there,
Oh, lovely.
you can do that. It's just another little point of access for reading material.
And
Excellent.
it looks like the cover bridge.
Yes, it is.
Oh, very nice.
An anonymous
Nice.
person donated all the the building of it and the materials
Lovely.
Can-
to look like the covered bridge.
Yeah.
Uh,
You also have the little free
And the little
pantry
free
still going on.
pantry, little free pantry in the library is just inside the back door.
Okay.
Basic foodstuffs, packaged, canned, boxed. If someone needs something quick, it is there for the taking. If someone wants to donate something to put there, again, that's available anytime the library is open.
Okay, great. See, you did have updates, and those are important to hear about.
Is
So
the,
thank you, Charlie.
Is the covered bridge, is that gonna be, like shoveled? Are we gonna be able to get to it in the winter?
I would assume, and barring
We're all looking at you, Craig.
I heard you had, somebody
barring
shoveled it.
massive storms.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
It will
Alright.
be accessible as much as we can.
All right.
It's
More,
kind of close towards the front of
Yeah.
It
the
is,
park. You
yes,
can't-
it's
you can
right
see
near
it.
those front benches.
Charlie has volunteered to be.
Is a shoveler?
I've shoveled the library out
great.
before.
Well, there's lots of good news tonight. That's wonderful, wonderful. Any other new business? Select board items. I believe we need to discuss having a meeting to discuss warrant
Warrant
articles.
articles, yes.
when, Charlie, when are we gonna be ready to do that?
Well, I think from my perspective, the warrant is almost ready to go.
Okay.
We still need to hear from the department heads on capital reserve request. There's
Okay.
a few that I have heard and a few that I haven't heard.
Okay.
I think the big one is the decision on whether or not the board is going to support the library article for funding. The reason why with that is we have to post
Yep.
for a public hearing
Yep.
within 7 days' notice. And if you don't support it, I need to let them know.
Right.
So they can get that, petitioned.
So when is it gonna be ready?
January 14th is the last day we can accept petition warrant articles. January 21st is the last day you can hold a public hearing.
Okay.
The budget committee is holding their public hearing January 17th. My assumption is that they would, appreciate they having the articles recommended before not on the 17th.
So tell us when things will be ready enough for us to have a meeting. I mean, we're not gonna have a meeting if you're not ready to
I would
go.
almost suggest we just have it on the 14th because that's the last day we
Yeah.
can accept petition warrant
That
articles.
sounds good.
Okay, all right, is everybody in the evening?
Excuse me. The last day we can accept petitions is the
Oh,
14th.
Is,
January 14th.
So wouldn't we have to tell the library we're not gonna support
need to know
before
We
then?
need to know
That's
before
why
then.
I
It
just
wouldn't be, it
said
would be
that.
nice.
Yeah.
So we don't wanna meet on the 14th.
No, we wanna meet
You'd
before
want
the
to give them an
14th.
opportunity,
We
right?
need to know
Yes.
before that.
Yeah.
The 12th, what kind of a day is it?
Well, there might
Well,
be a trial that day.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's up to you when you really meet.
So, this week's probably too soon, right?
This week's way too soon, I'm assuming, because
You
everything's
you
not ready to
mentioned
go.
December 30th, is that,
Isn't
which is, that's the.
That's a Monday?
Oh,
Monday.
wait, no, it's the week after.
Could we do it the 30th? Would we have everything ready to look at by the 30th?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'll
I
be
took
here,
that day
but
off,
that's
I could do
okay.
whenever.
Yeah.
Okay. Then for the moment, let's make sure that we're meeting on the 30th.
What time's good? Casey said he could be here.
Yeah, I took that day off. so.
You took that day off. and
Would
we
you
can
like to
meet
come in
during
the
day?
would you like during the day or the afternoon, or what do you prefer, afternoons off?
If it's in the morning, just like after like 9 or 10.
Okay.
I just don't know when I'm gonna be awake.
Say that.
I got pagers there because before.
How about 10 o'clock?
10
10 o'clock,
All
yeah.
right? All right, excellent.
And we're gonna meet here at the
Yes.
office,
Okay.
here or the
Here.
town office, here, okay.
Okay, excellent. I will put that on my calendar. Great. Okay. Any other select board items?
I have a few.
Yes.
I have a few things.
Okay.
I have a brief report on our last Big and Little Squam Lake Watershed Committee meeting. We're all done after a year and a half. And I have some volunteers I'd like to personally thank during the holiday season, some things that went on. But first, I have a motion I'd like to make to clarify what I guess was an issue for a few people after our December 2nd meeting here. I made an announcement, or I asked Fran to make an announcement, but I'll own it because I'm the one who makes announcements. About Christmas night in Ashland that was going to be 4 days away from us. And I guess a few people thought that because we had made a motion in 2018 that we would not announce any political activity in town, political meetings, and only have government meetings or town meetings. I can't exactly remember what the consensus was, but I certainly didn't think it meant that I couldn't make an announcement for Christmas night in Ashland or 4th of July or anything that's on our town-sponsored website, which is, there are things all over the website, which is town-sponsored. But I guess there were some people that took issue with it, and a couple the next day or the day after, whatever, told a select person that they were concerned. I guess this was out in public in a parking lot. And then later the same day, a couple people emailed the same select person and said they were unhappy because we had made an announcement that wasn't about a town or government meeting. So I'm going to make a motion to clarify, I hope, what we can and cannot say, but The fact is that there were only 12 people at that meeting that night, the board, the manager, the videographer, David, the chief, and 3 other usual suspects, residents that were here. And in fact, nobody heard it except who was here in the room because it was never aired, it was never on TV. There happened to be a very rare occasion where there was a connection problem and the whole meeting was filmed with no audio, there was no sound. So, and we're not being charged, by the way, for it. So it was never aired, so the only people that heard it were the people that were here, so it didn't go out in public. But it upset me, it concerned me, because I've been making announcements for 5 years, I think people know that. And I also like to thank volunteers personally when I can, and list who they are, like I'd like to do tonight about Christmas night and the holiday dinner at the school and our auxiliaries Christmas program at the fire station where we sponsor kids. So to clarify that for the board and hopefully make it better, I'd like to make a motion that any member of the select board may personally announce any nonprofit event within the town borders of the Ashland with the following exceptions: political, politically based, or partisan announcements, religious events or announcements, and for-profit events by out-of-town or in-town entities unless they are charitable or benefit the town in some way, unquote. I mean, in the motion.
Okay.
Read it, say it again?
I wrote it.
Just say it again for the
Okay.
public.
Any member of the select board may personally announce any nonprofit, that personally would mean not on behalf of the whole board. Personally announce any nonprofit event within the town borders of Ashland with the following exceptions: political, politically based, or partisan announcements, religious events or announcements, and for-profit events by out-of-town or in-town entities unless they are charitable or benefit the town in some way.
Okay. Is there a second to that? I will second that one. Further discussion?
What?
Just to clarify,
What is the issue?
the issue was, there was some concern because we announced Christmas night in Ashland that it wasn't a town committee. It is a town-wide event, and there was some concern that we shouldn't have announced it. And
Christmas night in Ashland.
in Christmas night in Ashland, that's supported by
Right.
lots of groups in
And
the town.
volunteers.
So we just want to make it clear that we support the town of Ashland. And, I think we're, getting a little bit silly when we can't talk about things that the whole town participates in. Again, we don't get involved in politics, so if there's, Republicans or Democrats are holding a party, we're not going to announce it. We're not getting involved in individual church events,
Right.
Doesn't mean we don't support them, but we don't, don't announce them here. But this was a case where it's a townwide event. I mean, Parks and Rec and churches and, all kinds of groups participate in it. And I personally don't see why there was concern about it. So I think Lee just wanted it on the record that there's nothing wrong with making those announcements.
And thanking volunteers.
And thanking volunteers.
We should do that every chance we get.
We should, because
They're very valuable.
Praise
and
any
Absolutely.
You
volunteer
need to
get
do
for
that.
any department.
Absolutely.
When I remember.
We want to create a good spirit in this town, I think. So that was it. Any other discussion?
I mean, don't we already have stuff in like our policy and stuff that we can't? There's like conflicts of interest, and if it benefits
do.
you, you can't do it. So like,
We
what's the-
do.
I understand. Like, I'm fine with
Yeah.
stating it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need a motion to say what.
I don't either.
I think it's honestly, it's addressing some complaint that's a non-issue.
Well, then we can still make announcements, is that it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If there's a consensus that we
Thanks.
can still do that, I'm more than comfortable with that without
Okay.
having it be a formal motion.
I'm
Is that
happy with
okay?
that. That's
Yeah.
fine with me.
All right,
Would you withdraw your motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
okay,
Withdraw
great.
your second?
Go ahead.
I can second.
That's you.
No, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I withdraw my second.
Yeah.
I withdraw my second.
Now, next year, David Rule should probably speak to Christmas night in Ashland. since
We don't
he's-
have chairs of every event come up and
No.
have
No,
to
well, he
speak.
just happens to be here, so.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
literally any of us.
I don't
can
Any of us
say
could.
do it.
I don't think
You
we
know,
minded that I made the
I think we were
announcement.
just addressing the fact
Yeah,
that a concern was
yeah.
raised.
Now a non-item.
It's a non-issue, and Casey, thank you for clarifying that, I
Yes.
appreciate it. Okay,
Consensus is good.
yes, it is.
That was a
Okay.
consensus.
Yes, that was a
Okay.
consensus, so,
I have
okay, oh, I'm sorry.
I have a brief,
Go for it, Lee.
we had our last.
Brief.
Page and a half. We had our last, well, it's interesting, our last Big and Little Squam watershed meeting. It's been going on for a year and a half, and every town around Big and Little Squam has had representation on it. And in our town, it was Mardine and Susan McLeod from the Planning Board, and myself from the Select Board. And we just wrapped that all up, and there is a report and a model that is on the SLA, the Squam Lakes Association website, if anybody wants to look at all those results. But basically, the conclusion is that the water health of both Big and Little Squam Lake is very good, and in fact, very good to excellent.
Wonderful.
With very low chlorophyll and phosphorus amounts. Towns on the lake that are predicted, the build-out, which is the number one source of contamination, or whatever you want to call it, isn't predicted to be 100% for at least 40 years, if even that. You know, that's building around the lake. And their second concern is septic systems. And one of the suggestions was that, besides educating the public, was for towns, planning boards to have stricter regulations as far as septic systems go for people that are on the waterfront, and also regulations as far as erosion goes on the waterfront too. Those are the two suggestions. And also if there's any way that people could be reminded about pumping out their septic systems. Some towns, I guess, I think Meredith instituted a type of a law where, of course, it has to be watchdog though. That they have to pump out every 2 years, or they have to change an old system. It's up to the towns, that's the thing, and it's up to the people to be educated before we can adopt any ordinances, as we all know. And Rebecca Hansen is the one who put everything together. She was really good, but she unfortunately she left, and she's over in Newfound. And just for a note, the testing was basically done on the deepest part of Big Squam, which is over by Rocky Wall Deep Haven, and the deepest part of Little Squam, which is like perpendicular to the public beach, like straight out from the covered bridge. But there was nothing about the river, and we brought that up a couple times, and there was nothing about any of the bays or the coves or the inlets. So right now, that's basically where the study ends. But they're planning on expanding it. But it's pretty extensive, and you can get all the information, the phosphorus, chlorophyll. But basically, it was a really, really good report for Little Squam and Ashland.
Great.
Yeah.
Good news.
A
lot of
very
good news
good
tonight.
report.
It's wonderful. Anything else, Lee?
I'd like to personally thank some folks, if I could, during the holiday season. The Christmas night event. David Rule is the Secretary and Treasurer of the Community Council of Ashland, and also all those members that are on that, we thank. The Ashland Reenactors Group, those are the ones who made up the strolling carolers for all those who fared out in the snowy, chilly evening that night. Ashland Community Center, the hay rides were by the Averys of Hampton. Anthony Horder for his annual Lionel train display, and he adds to that every year. Meredith Village Savings Bank, supper and kids events at St. Mark's Hall and the town library had pictures with Santa. There was also supper and more kids events at the Ashland Community Church Hall, the American Legion Hall, and the police and fire departments provided protection, and the fire truck also brought Santa to Memorial Parks for the tree lighting. And Also, the the fire department should be thanked because they took a truck to the Plymouth Parade the next night. So I was able to see our Ashland fire truck
Yay.
in the Plymouth Parade.
Okay.
And I thought that was really cool.
Cool.
And let's see, the other event, Chief Ulwick and Lieutenant Derek Gray, he's Lieutenant Derek Gray, and Fire Chief Steve Heath all served at the holiday dinner for kids and parents up at the elementary school, which is always fun to see them wearing their Santa and elf hats.
They got their picture in the paper too.
Yeah.
Thank you, that was mine. And Ann already thanked all the folks who did the ball diamond, and that was
beautiful.
That was unbelievable too. And lastly, and very importantly, is the Christmas program that the fire auxiliary has every year that sponsors needy children in town. You've seen the stockings and in the bank and Bob Sherfine. And it's just, I saw the room the other day, and it's just incredible. The outpouring and the huge bags
It's wonderful.
of toys. And the other day I talked to a mother, not there, I talked to someone I know. This mother said that when she was young and living in Ashland, that her family benefited from that program, and that she is was so grateful for it, that she now she is able to sponsor children, and she was
That's
very proud.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Yes.
So
Okay.
thank you.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
I had to explain to a child waiting to get their picture taken while Santa came in the fire truck and not a sleigh.
Wasn't enough to know.
I said they picked him
It was a
up
good appearance.
he landed in a sleigh and they picked him up
Oh,
there.
okay.
You just tell them they're not allowed to see the sleigh.
Oh.
They were one of the last group to come through, and the truck had come to pick Santa up.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
All right.
So, yeah, I had to think quick on that one.
Any other select board items?
Why was Santa slim, not fat?
No.
Public comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for non-public according to RSA 91A :3, small letter A, employment?
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Two.
2, okay.
Roman numeral 2 or 2
A motion?
non-public?
Yep.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.